Welcome to episode 6 of US Interference in Social Media. This one is my personal favorite, Wikipedia. Well, Wikipedia, one of its own founders, has said that this has become the most biased platform. How did it happen? Where did things go wrong? How did things come to here? We're going to know more about Wikipedia. So here we go. But before that, please like this video. And if you have not seen the series, do watch the series from part 1. Thank you very much. Part 6 is about Wikipedia. Here we go. Manipulation of Wikipedia is also discussed. Reports say that the FBI has been editing wiki pages since 2008. Its co-founder Larry Sanger calls it the most biased encyclopedia. Another co-founder, Jimmy Wales, has been co-opted by the censorship regime. So one guy starts working for them, one guy is against. Wikipedia co-founder, no encyclopedia to my knowledge has been as biased as Wikipedia has been. This is Larry Sanger explaining the downfall of Wikipedia from a democratized knowledge to pro-establishment propaganda. Jimmy Wales is the advisor and co-founder of Wikipedia, and he actually is standing by. I think he's still with Wikipedia, so he's a beneficiary of all this. And when they come to you with a begging bowl, you may want to think twice before giving your hard-earned money. For me, Wikipedia is last resort. Knowledge of last resort. If I don't find anything else, then I'll go and try and look at Wikipedia. Then I'll do a double check to make sure that the information that they are providing is correct. So Wikipedia to me is a joke. Anyway, we'll move on to the next one, which is Reddit. Reddit is similar to Wikipedia, except that it's got a very text-like interface. It's not a page, it's more like text, and you have threads going on and on. Who would have thought that the free-spirited discussion platform for nerds would also be manipulated? But of course, and if any doubts, the venerable Washington Post clears it by recommending it. News outlets turn to Reddit as Musk's X descends into chaos. So this is Washington Post, which is pitching for it is pitching for Reddit. Very, very interesting. Don't think that the US missions in India have suddenly developed a passion to help India with the right information. Far from it. There is a hidden purpose. And what is that hidden purpose? We come to that in just one moment. There is an organization that has been engaged by the US Embassy for the counter disinformation theater. It's called the International Research and Exchange Board, harmlessly sounding name, IREX, founded by the Ford Foundation. IREX, who are these people? It is an international non-profit organization that specializes in global education and development. IREX works with partners in more than 100 companies. It has been funded by Ford Foundation. The organization is headed by Kristen M. Lord, who has been associated with several non-government organizations such as the USIP, USAID, and CFR. Interestingly, IREX is funded amongst a long list of donors by Soros also. Such a small world. So let's look at some of the funders. Donors are Adobe, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I can't read the next one. Mozilla, Ford Foundation, Open Society Foundation, and Kellogg Foundation, and so on and so forth. As part of the USAID's Ukraine National Identity Through Youth program, IREX worked with local partners and governments to renovate a youth center in Ukraine. The president and CEO, Kristen Lord, joined the opening event that aims to create a safe and supportive space where the youth thrive. IREX global advisor is Paige Alexander, who has also worked with USAID, etc. Her spouse, Steve Grant, is also from the world of non-government non-profits and is an expert on Spring Revolution. He has worked in the past with Atlantic Council as well. Remember the Tahrir Square? This is in Arab Spring that took place in Egypt, if I remember correctly. What transitions elsewhere can teach us about the prospects of Arab democracy? IREX, the non-government, has many luminaries as office bearers from the various parts of US government. IREX leadership over the years had been led by people associated with NGOs and USAID and so on and so forth. IREX is also funded by many US embassies around the world. These guys have easy money. I wish I'd worked in the Foreign Service, US Agency for International Aid and Development, US Department of State. There are 10 organizations under that. US embassies, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Botswana, Georgia, Iraq, Israel, Kosovo, Macedonia, Pakistan, Russia, Ukraine, United Kingdom Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Just for variety, they said, okay, use them also. And look at who are all the people are in USAID. You have the mission director, Liliana Ayalde, vice chair. She's in IREX. Then you have Robert Mosbacher Jr. He has worked with US aid, and now he is a board of governor at IREX. Then you have Zeenath Rahman, acting director at the Center for Faith-Based and Community Initiatives. She is a board of governor. Acting administrator at USAID, Wade Warren, is also on the board of governor. And mission director Aaron S. Williams is on the board of governor. Agency youth coordinator Michael McCabe, again an advisory council member. Assistant administrator Paige Alexander is also an advisory council member. In other words, the United States government entities, embassies and consulates are engaging the non-government IREX almost entirely people with former US government officials, which in turn are funded by other government entities such as the US embassies from Israel to Pakistan. Now, let's take a quick look at how this affects India. The US Embassy in New Delhi, digital media literacy advocate for that is 𝗣𝗽𝗍𝗄𝗧 Kolar. And where does she come from? She was a deputy director of digital media literacy project in Pointer. Pointer, I've talked about it in one of the previous episodes in this series. You may want to go back and look at who Pointer is. Again, you have the other consulates like Chennai, Kolkata, Mumbai, and Hyderabad. And you can see Alana Duarte, I've talked about her, and how Open Society Foundation and Ford Foundation provide funding to Pointer. And you have also seen them collaborate with new things such as Learn to Discern India Academy, which in turn is again connected with, it's a part of International Research and Exchanges Board. Now comes the critical question. Is there any money laundering trail here? Remember how BBC got caught with his hand in the cookie jar? And finally, they had to admit that they faked a lot of the receipts that were coming in. But unfortunately, India allowed them to continue to operate. I think they're still operating in India. I mean, BBC is too important a name to, I guess, throw away. But hopefully, they have been, taught a lesson. They are more humble. They have their feet to the ground and not fly in the midair and still continue to mouth lies. I hope. Well, we will never know whether there is money laundering involved or not. We do know that with all the taxpayers' money, both government and non-government entities are only engaging a particular type of people steeped in a specific ideology. It is not for all. A side note, the IREX website has all members' details except two, GP and JI. Not saying that there is something about this mystery, but there is always a revelation. Who is GP and who is JI? So you take a look at all these people to try and see if there is anybody who we can try and make sense of. GP is just says in initials. You don't have a picture. Director of Global Security and Operational Support. And in this page, you can see there is JI, Vice President for Global Human Resources. These two are not mentioned by face. But look at the names. I mean, if you go and search for them on Google, you understand where their affiliations are. So that brings us back to the question, if the enterprise is not for the love of India, what is it for? The war on disinformation is a new war on terror, a foreign policy tool run through a global machinery to manage, manipulate, stabilize or destabilize governments, societies and countries. The quote from Jacob Siegel's A Guide to Understanding the Hoax of the Century. This is how the government created war against disinformation became the great moral crusade of its time. CIA officers at Langley came to share a cause with hip young journalists in Brooklyn, progressive nonprofits in DC, George Soros-funded think tanks in Prague, racial equity consultants, private equity consultants, tech company staffers in Silicon Valley, Ivy League researchers, and failed British royals. Jacob Siegel's book, you should read this to know a little bit more about what they are talking about here. Now, the crux of the war against disinformation is don't trust your government, don't trust your institutions, don't even trust your own eyes and ears. You'll be told what to believe. This is the thing. You will be told what to believe. And no matter which social media platform you turn to, that has been taken over. So it appears like the truth because everybody is saying the same thing. If everybody is saying the same thing, ergo it must be the truth. Or in other words, a lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth. Goebbelsian. And these people think that by calling anybody as a nationalist, then they can immediately connect them to a Nazi, like the way they try to do it with Modi. Now you can see here, Trump escorted away after loud noises at Pennsylvania rally. Loud noises, right? This was an assassination attempt, and they call it escorted away after loud noises. This is Washington Post. New York Times rushed off stage after chaos at rally. None of these people wanted to admit that there was an assassination attempt on Trump. The poor man lost a part of his ear, for God's sake. And these are some of the leading lights in terms of newspaper publications in the United States. Where has this world come to? One wonders. George Orwell thought it would be a communist socialist system that would descend into a dystopian regime. He would have never believed that the capitalist heaven of United States would create the most advanced techno-censorship dystopia. These are not mere rhetoric. These are visible on the ground. What started the Spring Revolution graduated into the color revolution, and now you have the monsoon revolution in Bangladesh. Go figure this out, guys. I mean, they don't even want to change any words. They just want to cut and paste, cut and paste. Lazy bums, I tell you. They should use their creativity to come up with a new name. But they won't, because they want to associate you with, spring means a revolution. Same way, maybe they thought spring is not enough, direct pointing to what it is. So they changed the name spring to revolution. So you have orange revolution. I think that was the one that they mentioned about Ukraine in 2014, if I'm not wrong. And now you have the monsoon revolution 10 years later in 2024 in Bangladesh. So if you listen to the prophets of democracy who have decided that democracy will no longer be decided by votes, elections, or parliament, under the new religion, democracy will be decided on the street through anarchy. The architects of this dystopian censorship and masters of spring and color revolutions have put their benevolent eyes on India. Not sure if spring is coming or winter is coming, or a winter of spring. See, this particular slide deck was done before the Bangladesh coup happened. So that's why it looks a little anachronistic when I talk about it now. See how far-sighted this slide deck was. This was done about 10 days ago, and I was traveling, so I couldn't do the remaining pieces. So now I have finished it. This brings us to a close of this series. I hope you've watched each and every episode of this. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.